Hi, my name is Cynthia Ruiz. I am an author, professor, executive coach, motivational speaker, leadership expert. I do a lot of different things. And my Cherokee name is Lion Mother. I'm joined by my co-author. We've co-authored Cherokee Wisdom, 12 Lessons for Becoming a Powerful Leader. My co-author in the second edition of the book is Abraham Bearpaw. Hi, Abraham.
Hello, good morning.
So
My
tell us.
name is Abraham Bearpaw. My Cherokee name is Yona, which means bear. And so I'm really excited to be here to share a little bit about the book and share a little bit also how I received my Cherokee name.
So let's just jump right in. How did you receive your Cherokee name, and what does that mean to you?
I received my Cherokee name not shortly after I was born. So the stories that I remember from it come from my mother, and she told me it was actually my father's mother um, who initially gave me the name. And so, a long time ago, our naming ceremonies, we're a little different than they are now, but we still have the names that we passed down. And so I was really, growing up with the name Yona, I was really enamored with the name. I really felt like the name Yona gave me a lot of responsibility, and also gave me a lot of strength that I could draw on during later difficult times. I think everybody, when you think about Yona, when you think about the bear, you think about strength, you think about endurance, and so these types of things. I've just looking back, to see that my ancestors would name me that, and think that I would become those things. To think that I would, to give me that strength to draw on later. It really meant a lot to me. And so I just remember my mom, telling me a lot about it. Uh, and so I carried that name with me. I still carried it with me, my whole life. That's actually, I feel like that's more of my name, than my government name, I guess you call it. Abraham. I've always been more attached to my Cherokee name. So I think that it did help me. I went through a lot of difficult years. I started drinking, using drugs, as a way of coping, with a lot of different things in my life. But it was that strength of the bears, strength of the Yona, strength of my ancestors, our ceremonies, and that was able to sustain me during that time and help me to pull through it and overcome those things. I feel like is our Cherokee culture, our Cherokee naming ceremonies, and these things. So I really, I'm happy to be here to share that.
Well, I come from blended culture. So on my mom's side, we're Cherokee. On my dad's side, I'm Latina. And my dad's family came to the United States almost 100 years ago from Mexico. So we've been here a long time in Los Angeles. And so traditionally, your Cherokee name comes from your mother's side. So because I didn't really grow up in Oklahoma, I grew up in Los Angeles, I didn't receive a Cherokee name like most people do when they're young. Now, for me, my name Cynthia means moon goddess, so I kind of just always attached my name, my identity to the moon goddess name. But over the years, I really started longing for a Cherokee name, and I really thought that I would never get my Cherokee name because all my female ancestors, Cherokee ancestors, had passed on. Grandmother passed on, my two aunts passed on, and my mom now is elderly, so she has dementia. So I was kind of a little sad. So finally, when I felt the need to get my Cherokee name, I didn't think it was possible. So a few years ago, I actually went to Oklahoma and I was there and I had the opportunity to meet a Cherokee elder, Ernie Frost, and his title is he's a red fire priest. So I talked to him, I said, what am I going to do? I don't know how to get my name. And he says, I'll help you. So he goes, I think I know your name. And I'm like, well, what is it? He goes, I can't tell you. So actually a few years went by and he lives in the middle of nowhere in Tucson. So in early this year in 2020, February 1st of 2020, I traveled to Tucson. He lives off the grid. I mean, he lives in the middle of the desert. And so
Mhm.
I went to him, and then from there went up actually into the canyons, these beautiful canyons, which the native people of that area lived. And we were actually near the birthing rock where the women used to go, give birth. And so we did a ceremony, and it was so magical and so powerful. But it was also such of a transformation that I got physically ill. I felt sick because I could feel the transformation happening. So what he told me he did is that he checked in with his grandmother through dream state before this happened, and she checked in with my grandmother, and they came up together, and what they named me was Lion Mother. And when I
Mhm.
heard that name, I just like started crying. I was just like, because it touched my soul, it touched my spirit, and I was just like crying like a baby. And once he explained why they gave me that name, it even had more meaning. So mother in Cherokee, the mothers are the backbone, they're the advisors, the teachers, they're the holders of the knowledge. And from there, a lioness sits on top of the rock and looks out for the community. So putting those two together, what he said is that it's really my role to look out for the community and really care for the community and care for people. So
Mhm.
I'm so grateful to have my Cherokee name, Lion Mother, the Deji Edgy, which to me, it comes with a lot of responsibility.
Mhm.
Our names I mean, they're nice, but they come with a responsibility. So
Mhm.
that's why I said, okay, I felt a lot of responsibility, and I reached out to you to do the second edition of the book. So I think there's so much in our names that people really don't understand. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, totally. And I'm really happy now because a lot of our, cultural ways, they've been lost. But it's really awesome to see that, we still have a lot of our culture, from the original times. And so for you to be able to get your Cherokee name later in life, I think it's really awesome. I think it's just really shows our perseverance, as a Cherokee people, as Native people, that we can overcome anything. And so for you to be able to get your name, even though, from your background, you weren't able to get it when you were young, and then, to have, family members who have passed on, before they could share this stuff with you, it could have been tragic. And then for you to just meet this guy, and for him to honor you in that way, I think is really cool, and it just shows, I feel like our people, hope for the future, because there are a lot of Native people who aren't connected with their culture, who don't practice cultural ways, and it's not for lack of not wanting to. I feel like a lot of people are really yearning for this. I feel like they're not around it at all. They don't have any access to it. So for us to be able to help each other out in this way, and then this is something, once they learn something, they can pass down to their children. So, it just shows to me that the hoop isn't broken. That, granted, we've dealt with a lot of adversity, but, our ancestors showed great perseverance. And so, our children and grandchildren and great grandchildren are going to be able to benefit from these things. So it's just really awesome. I really like that story of how you got your name, and that you were able to get it later in life, even though it just really shows, the perseverance of our people. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's never give up, right? We never give up no matter what. Now, you brought up the issue of alcohol. Now,
Mhm.
we know that with Native people, that's an issue. Well, with all people, it's an issue.
Mhm.
But I think it's a particular issue in our community.
Mhm.
So, talk to me a little bit about that. What gave you the strength to go into recovery?
I feel like it was the strength of my ancestors. All of the songs I learned when I was young age, going to stomp ground, the ceremonies. Once they get put in your heart, they're there forever. And I always felt like, even when I went through my hardest times, that I knew the fire was still there. and I knew I was being carried along. And you know, so when I started drinking, it was a way of coping. Drinking and using drugs. Alcohol was my drug of choice. And so, for me, a lot of people tell you don't use drugs, don't use drugs. You hear that a lot, but not as many people tell you not to drink because it's legal. And so, even before I came of age, actually, I had experimented with alcohol, and I just remembered, from having a low self-esteem, not feeling really good about myself, not really feeling like I fit in any particular segment of society. When I drank the alcohol for the first time, it's like I don't know, just like a light went off. I knew that, this was it. This was it for me. This is what I needed. It made me more confident. It made me be able to speak, because I grew up, I was a really shy person. Still am, I guess, a little bit. And so the alcohol really, I felt like gave me strength that I was lacking in other areas. But it was an illusion, and, turns on, the more and more I drank, the more and more I had to drink, late in later years. It cost me a lot of trouble, in and out of jail, lost a lot of jobs, and there's a lot of people to me, I hurt a lot of people along the way, during my drinking years. And, and there's some people who will never be able to forgive me, for those times. And that's okay. That's one of the reasons why I do things like this book, to be able to pass down to, my goal is to help other people who feel like, they're in a hopeless situation, and let them know that you can pull out of it. And so for me, I feel like that's the greatest gift that I have, because I questioned a lot why I was made an alcoholic. How come other people can drink, but I can't drink? When they drink, they don't cause problems and do all these things. How come it was different for me? And, I quit questioning it. I feel like it was the Creator's plan for me. And so, but the good thing is now I have all of this knowledge and all of these skills to help people who are going through the same thing. And so, that's what the work I do now. It's really important to me. It's actually my life's work now. This is what I'm going to do. It's what I feel passionate about for the rest of my life, is to help other people navigate modern society. And if they feel like they need these drugs and alcohol to cope, to let them know that we actually have cultural teachings, cultural ways that can make you feel better, make you stronger, make you be able to feel more balanced. And you don't need drugs. You don't need alcohol. So I'm excited to share that with other people. And I'm just really happy that I was able to make it, through the horrors of addiction, because there's a lot of people who didn't. And so I feel like I live my life also for them, for the ones who weren't able to make it out of addiction, who may have overdosed or drank themselves to death. I feel like because we're talking about really great people with great hearts, who just had this allergy to alcohol, and through no fault of their own. So that's the biggest message I want to carry for the rest of my life, to let people know they don't have to be hopeless, that there is hope. And by following these teachings, by going back to our ancestors, and living a balanced life, then we can be well. But it's a day at a time. I'm only as strong, today as the work that I do. I have a wellness plan that I have to follow. It's actually, really good. I'm really excited that I have a wellness plan. It's not something I have to do. I have a choice. I know that alcohol is always out there. The bad things are always out there. They don't forget about you. It's always waiting for you. And so, I have to, live my life in a way that keeps me balanced. Keeps me from being angry at people, resentful towards people, all of these negative emotions. I don't carry those with me anymore, and so I'm just really excited, that I have this opportunity to share that message. So.
And it's not uncommon. I mean, I have 3 brothers, and all 3 brothers are alcoholics. So, or drug addicts. So I'm proud of my youngest brother, who now is just celebrating 16 years sobriety.
That's awesome.
Another brother who is an active alcoholic. And my older brother actually died of a heroin overdose. So this is not uncommon.
Yeah.
and no matter what area you grow up in. But I think part of it is this historical trauma that we carry with us, because when you really look at any Native Americans in the United States, what we went through when they came from Europe was nothing less than genocide. I mean, the historical trauma is there for us. So a lot of times when you drink or do drugs, it's to dull that pain. So
Yeah.
it's something that's really prevalent in our community. So my hat goes off to you for standing up and working your program and sharing with others. And how much sobriety do you have now?
7 years.
7 years.
7 years, yeah. 8 years, it'll be in August.
So your birthday's coming up in August, and
Yeah.
I'm just so proud of you for that. And so there you have it. I'm Lion Mother. I'm joined by what I call Brother Bear, and we just want to thank you for listening and hope you get our book, Cherokee Wisdom, 12 Lessons for Becoming a Powerful Leader. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.